Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI InterConnect podcast. I'm your host, Laurent. This show is about real operators, real decision, and what actually work behind the scene. AI InterConnect is a platform where founders and executives share how they build, scale, and adapt in fast-moving markets. And today I'm joined by Kate Gillespie, President and CEO of the Green Sheet. And the Green Sheet is a long-standing payment industry publication that covers merchant services, fintech, and the company shaping how many moves. I think there's a little bit of prop tech also, but you'll tell me everything. Kat, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Very happy to have you on the show.
Hello, everyone.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm very happy that for so long we wanted to talk. Finally, we're gonna make it. And let's start with your background, so listener understand the path that led you here.
Okay.
You spent years inside the payment ecosystem and industry media. Kate, how did your background lead you to step into the CEO role at Green Sheet?
Well, I came into payments industry in 1999. I had just divorced my husband and had two small children to support, and I answered an ad in a newspaper, which were still a thing at the time, and went to work for a small company called Crosscheck. I was an admin assistant, and the boss I had was on traveling for a month, and I didn't get to meet him for a month, so I didn't have anything to do, and I went in one day and said, "I'm not sure why you hired me. I'm sitting here doing nothing, and you're paying me, and this feels wrong." They gave me some stuff to do. The woman I talked to was at the time the managing editor of the Green Sheet, which was a small publication at the time. I think at the time I joined, it was 32 pages. It started as a newsletter, 2-page newsletter. So I just sat down and started doing proofreading, whatever I could, and was invited to sit in on a story meeting and was told to bring an idea for what was called the GSQ. We used to do a quarterly magazine that was a more in-depth look at an issue. And we had decided that quarter it was going to be on biometrics, which at the time were kind of up and coming. And so I came up with a little blurb, and the owner at the time, Paul Green, he said to me, "Did you write this?" And so I looked at him and said, "No, I plagiarized every single word. Please stop insulting me." And I ended up writing a large portion of that particular magazine. And from that time forward, he kind of pulled me more into the Green Sheet area. I mean, it was a long road to get to actually work for the Green Sheet, because at the time I was working for Crosscheck, which also Green Sheet ran under Crosscheck because Paul Green was the founder of the Green Sheet. So yeah, just years of working with him. And then he started a company called Concepts, which was a business incubator. And I ran that while that was going. And they pulled the plug on it and told me I was laid off, and called me 3 days later and invited me to come answer the phones at the Green Sheet. And I did. And now I'm not just the
Unbelievable.
president and CEO, but I'm also the owner.
Wow. Congratulations. Wonderful. I love this kind of story. It started very hard and it's hard all the way, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing is easy. Nothing
No,
is
it
easy.
was right place, right time, everything lined up.
Yeah,
And I
but
had studied journalism in college, so
okay.
that's where I wanted to be.
That's wonderful. I love this story. Then what early experience shape how you see the payment industry today?
One of the things that Paul had talked about way back when was the payments industry is the one industry that will never go away. It may change shape, it may change form, but as humans, we're always going to be exchanging something for something else. He said now the payments industry is electronic puka shells, basically. So all I've seen is a lot of evolution of the industry, because the new technologies that come up certainly help our industry. And what I've seen in my years of doing this, which is now what, 7, and I'm sad, but I've
Normal.
seen that our industry jumps on stuff really fast. We make changes happen almost immediately, sometimes before we know if they're good or bad, but it's throw it against the wall, let's see what sticks. But we do adapt and adjust very quickly. The COVID pandemic was, I think, evidence of that. People had no idea what they were going to do. Yes, our people lost a lot of money for the first part, but they helped the merchants figure out how to keep going, how to make this so that they could sustain their businesses through this pandemic. And I know working from home became a big thing, which my office went completely remote in 2015. So we haven't had offices since then. So we were completely ready for it. But a lot of the payment companies were too.
Okay, yeah. And there's so many things. Then what did you underestimate when you first took the role or when you first started?
Well, I certainly didn't. I took over in 2014. That's when I bought the company. Prior to that, I guess nobody was expecting the pandemic, kind of like nobody was expecting the dot-com boom. That threw the whole industry. While it was great, it really threw it into chaos for a while. And our industry is filled with disruptors. So I think we're used to things disrupting really quickly. Square came along, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard with new technologies or new things happening, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh, the sky is falling, our whole industry is going to go away. And it never does. No, it's not going away. It's just changing. So put on your running shoes, run down the next path, and we'll see where it goes.
That's very true. Changes. You have to adapt to the changes.
Well, if nothing's changing, then we're probably not doing things right.
Yeah, exactly. Be a laggard, and everybody is going very fast ahead of us if
Hmm.
you don't change.
Well, and the
You
funny
have
part is in
kept,
the US, we're the slowest adopters of all this stuff. It takes us forever
yes,
to get there.
yeah, that's true. You have kept the green sheet relevant in a very crowded information space. Um, when you explain the green sheet to someone outside the payment world, how do you describe what you actually do and who you serve?
Our readers are the people who drive the change to the merchants. They're the direct line to these merchants because the merchants don't read the green sheet. They don't, some of them do, but they don't really understand the industry as a whole. But our readers are the people who are going into the merchant and setting them up with their payment systems, inventory systems. It's become a lot more than just walking in with a credit card machine and saying, here, you can run credit cards. Now it's, how can I help you run your business? I think our readers now are more business consultants than anything else. I don't think their sole purpose is to go in and make sure that they can get a credit card transaction run. There's so much more involved in it. But I tell people that I work with the people who are making commerce possible.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Then how, yeah, how do you decide what deserve coverage?
We have weekly meetings and we toss ideas out, just brainstorm.
Okay, that's
And,
cool.
we'll plan stuff, but it can change. And if something else happens, we adapt also. We say, okay, well, this is more important right now. Let's cover this.
Okay, that's not a weekly, that's a monthly magazine
We do it once every
paper.
other week right now, but if things are happening real fast, we'll all jump on the phone together and throw ideas out. It's kind of a constant communication. I'm always in touch with my writers.
Okay.
And we have a lot of
And
people who contribute as well.
okay. And what differentiate the green sheet from other payment media outlets?
I think we're a little more fluid than some. We don't, any of the stories we do, we try to remain very, very neutral. There's no point in us getting involved in, is this the good one or the bad one? The one thing we do that I think is different is we constantly tell our readers, and our readers are, the majority of our readers are the people who are actually walking into the merchant. They're not the big, we have the big companies on there, but the actual salespeople walking in and saying, oh, I can help you do this. And we try to be very education oriented. We always have tips for the salespeople. It's not just commenting on the new technologies or the new companies or the new trends, but we're also trying to give the salespeople some sales ideas, some leads. You may want to add this to your basket to help retain your merchants longer. A lot of what we do is help these salespeople retain their accounts, because the more you can offer a merchant, the less chance they're going to leave to go for something else. The things that I've noticed over the years are, for a long time, when these salespeople would go in, the only thing they had to offer them was the service and equipment to run the credit card transaction. And so they would do leases at real high rates because there was no other way for them to make money. But that's all changed now. So it's interesting because I've seen it all evolve, and it's coming back around again. It cycles. I know for a long
Love
time,
it.
equipment sales were the big thing, and it's kind of coming back to that a little bit. Now it's software systems.
Okay. Okay, I love it. Running an industry publication comes with constant pressure. You mentioned
Yep.
it.
Media is a great place to be right now, especially here. It's fun.
And right now, um, what feels like the hardest part of running and evolving the Green Sheets?
There's been a lot of transition for us. We recently stopped printing the actual magazine and mailing it. Now it's all online, which has been a transition, and it's been a transition in the journalism industry for a few years now. So there's still some people who don't like that, and so trying to bring them over with us. The print model is now unsustainable. And between the postage costs and the print, I couldn't continue to do it. So that's been a big pressure in trying to maintain relevance so that the people who are advertising with us still see value. But our readership hasn't fallen at all since 1999.
Okay, no, it makes a lot of sense. The printing doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Where
It kills a
no,
bunch of trees.
no. Where do you feel the most friction day to day?
Competing against platforms like Facebook, Twitter, not so much what X, I think it is, not so much anymore with that one, but people were still saying that the social media platforms were driving more revenue to our advertisers were saying that they were getting more revenue from these platforms, and that's not so true anymore. I think a lot of the political stuff that these media platforms have found themselves in has pushed them more our way. We try to remain apolitical. We don't take political stances on anything. I mean, personally, I do, but I'm not going to put that through in the publication. It's not my place.
And what challenge keeps surfacing despite progress?
Dealing with some of the new marketing managers is interesting because they have a completely different mindset. They're much younger. They've been raised in a different environment. So kind of convincing them that they can actually do stuff on our platform that's going to get them more business. A lot of them are buried in numbers and statistics, which I'm happy to provide them with that, but that's not always the whole picture. I think our magazine is very focused on this particular industry, whereas if they're just going out on Facebook, they're not getting quite that focus.
Very well spread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how has the shift to fully digital that we mentioned changed your priorities?
Well, it gives us a little more time to plan the issues, and it gives us time to change issues because we don't have that print window that we have to use to get it printed out, get it mailed out. So it's nice that changes are easy. It's easy to make changes on a minute's notice.
Definitely makes sense. You sit at the center of conversation across ISOs, fintechs, platforms. From your vantage point in the payment industry, what shift matter most right now, but it's still underappreciated?
I think a lot, and I think a lot of our readers do this too, but a lot of people even don't understand just how deep the payments industry goes. Trying to think of some examples here. For example, my partner, when he first started seeing me, he had no idea that merchants had to pay to process a credit card. So I think there's a lot of things that people don't understand. Payments can affect payroll. There's inventory. All the parts of a business can actually be tied to a lot of the payment systems that are out there. And I think it's convincing people that these solutions exist. And even with our advertisers, it's start listening to some of the people who are trying to guide you in the right direction. We'll tell people all the time, if you do this and this, you're going to get a better return. And they're, oh, no, no, no. And then they try it. And, oh, you got a better return. So I think maybe it's the hardest part of all of this is just convincing people to listen to you. And sometimes because so many of us, especially here in the United States, are so overwhelmed with the amount of actual work we're doing that we don't take the time to listen. And I think communication is key in any kind of a partnership. I think if you're not communicating or listening to me, why are you working with me?
That's right. That's right. And what do people overreact to?
People will, a lot of times these days, our advertisers will overreact to some of the numbers they're seeing. But the problem is they don't communicate that to us. And so all of a sudden they just disappear and we don't know why. Well, how could we have fixed that? How could we have helped you? Because I don't want you throwing money at me if you're not going to get any results.
Then what signal do you personally watch closely every day?
We try to keep in touch with our advertisers, and if they stop responding, that's a big signal. It's like, oh, something's not right. But it's difficult because, they have no obligation to tell me anything, but it feels like I'm being less than helpful if they don't talk to me. It's almost like in a relationship. If you don't communicate with your partner, it's not going to last.
Yeah, of course. And what is widely misunderstood about payment, compliance, and the industry communication?
Well, in our world, I think anybody who's just going in and selling payment services to a merchant on price only has lost the conversation. I think these people are no longer salespeople, they're consultants, and they need to broaden their horizons on how else can I help you. And it opens up different lines that they can go after. It opens up a new niche they can specialize in. We have people specializing in different foreign language businesses because they're have a lot of people in that culture. We have people who specialize in funeral homes, people who specialize in I know CrossCheck, they're a check guarantee company, but they did auto sales. They would guarantee the checks for those down payments. I think a lot of it is just keeping an open mind and understanding that payments will touch every industry somehow and figuring out, okay, so how can I get into that niche? And we try to help people with that. So I think by us broadening what we're writing about, we can maybe help these people see some new opportunities.
Yeah, beautiful. Makes sense. And you have made deliberate choices about focus and direction. Looking ahead, 12 to 18 months, what does success realistically look like for the green sheet?
Well, I want to focus on increasing our reach so that we offer more opportunities. I think we're seeing much more globalization than people really realize. It may seem like it's not that way because of the politics here, but it's true. We are a global community. And I think that a lot of opportunities are going to start arising from places like South America. I would like to see everybody be able to take advantage of that and make it an opportunity, especially people in those countries. So kind of looking at just expanding our reach would be a successful thing for me. That's it.
Yeah, no, beautiful. I mean, obviously, this is great. And the opposite, what are you intentional?
Talking about politics,
Yes,
very
good.
intentional.
You better not.
No.
Neither in conversation or family conversation, never.
Yeah, no, it's best not to. But even then, politics is always going to play into it, but we adapt. And that's what the payments industry is really in the US. That's what we're known for, adaptation.
And what will you accelerate with fewer constraints if you have more money, more time, more everything?
Would accelerate our involvement in podcasts such as this to reach out further and further to different industries.
Great idea. Love it. What decision feels more important right now for you?
Have to think on that one.
We have to pass, no problem.
Yeah.
You have seen what works and what fails across many companies, obviously.
hmm
Based on what you learned, um, what should operator in fintech or payment start or stop doing right now?
Okay. I have some HR background as well. I was an HR director for a company years and years and years ago. One of the things that I find, you really need to hire correctly, but hire with an open mind. And when you're hiring somebody, when you've decided you want this person, don't turn around and micromanage them and tell them how to do every step. You hired them for a reason. My management style has always been to try to play to somebody's strengths instead of their weaknesses. Instead of just pointing out what they're doing wrong, what are they doing right and how can you make that work for you better?
I love it. Very, very right. Okay, what decision took too long in hindsight?
It was an HR decision and it was because I felt bad. And, you've got to do what you've got to do for your business.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You learn from that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it
What hap
easier.
No, 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 for sure. What habits made the biggest difference for you?
I think listening to the people I've chosen to work with. If I don't listen to them and I don't consider what they're saying to me, why are they working for me?
That's
So
true.
I think really just being open to listening to people. I'm not always right, never have been, and I can't do it alone. Never have been able to do it alone either. I've surrounded myself with people I trust. We don't always agree, and that's fine. We shouldn't. If we always agree, I've surrounded myself with people who can't really assist me.
Oh, this is great. Then what advice will you give your earlier self?
Breathe. Breathe. It will be okay. It may not come out the way you think it's going to come out. And if it doesn't, you need to look at what's the reality and how do I make it work now? Instead of digging in and saying, no, it has to be this way. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay.
got to check your ego at the door, and it hurts and it's hard, but you have to because you're not always going to make the right decision. And you have to be able to say, you have to be able to look at yourself and look at everybody else and say, I made a mistake. This is on me. Now what? When something goes wrong, my first instinct is not to look at who's to blame. My first instinct is to say, how do we fix it?
Okay. Very cool. I love this. Problem solver. Okay,
Try the
then, yeah, try to be. Uh, okay, let's do a very quick one. So one trend you are bullish on.
one trend. I'm sorry. I'm what on?
Your
Bullish?
one trend bullish on.
Oh, um, to back off of depending on AI for everything. I don't think AI is ready. I don't think we're there yet. I think it has a
Yes,
very important place in our industry, but it's not everything.
you're right. One thing the industry talks about too much, you got it.
Well,
AI.
as far as my readers go, one of the things they talk about too much and they always have is, oh, well, so and so's not paying me the right way. And one of the things we always have tried to teach our people, our readers, the ones who are the salespeople working for the ISOs, is read your contract. Spend the $200, have an attorney look at it, and read your contract. This is a way of you communicating with the company and the company's communicating with you. And any contract you're presented with is a negotiable instrument. You can negotiate the terms. You don't have to sign it as is. And I think too many people are intimidated by a contract and too many of them don't actually read it. I mean, do I read all the little terms of service on software packages? I certainly do not, but sometimes maybe we should.
That's true. You're very right. Okay, when the best source you rely on to stay informed?
We utilize a lot. Our writers have a whole list of people in the industry who they know and trust, and they'll call. So a lot of times we're talking amongst ourselves, but we do kind of look at all the stories. If there's a trend coming or an idea coming out, we do tend to look at everything that's been written. We do consider the source of it. Who wrote this? Where did this come from? And kind of piece it together from there. But a lot of times we'll be double checking with other people who are in the industry, some of the larger ISOs, they talk to us. And we talk with a lot of banks. One of our main writers worked in DC for years and years and years. So we utilize her contacts.
Utilize. One word that describes the next year in payment.
Chaotic. It's not
And
a
the
bad
past
thing.
one.
Chaos isn't bad. Chaos isn't necessarily bad. Chaos is indicative of change.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Bravo. And one skill leaders will need more of going forward.
I think you need to rely on the people you've surrounded yourself with to achieve your goal. And if you aren't doing that, why are you hiring them and paying them money? I've never understood micromanagement. I don't get it. You've hired me to do a job. Why won't you just let me do the job?
Yeah, you're completely right. And I love it. Kate, thank you so much for joining.
Sure.
Very strong insight into your journey, the payment industry, and the work you're doing at the Green Sheet. Bravo for
Thank you.
owning the whole thing.
Some
We'll
days
be
that's not
talking a
good,
lot.
but you know.
Yeah. No, this is great. I interview one of your writer also, and we enjoy talking, as you know, and I'm sure we'll do many, many, many things. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Anytime.
Thank you. And that's it for today's episode of AI InterConnect. If you enjoy it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Kate, thank you.